Have you ever found it suspicious that Kodak allegedly manufactures 2 or 3 different 800 ISO daylight balanced color film stocks, but only sells one of them as a consumer product? You're telling me that they make a whole separate 800 ISO film just to put in their disposable cameras and sell to Lomography. To tell you the truth, I didn't really clue in to how far-fetched this sounded until Darren from Learn Film Photography pointed out how ridiculous it would be for Kodak to have an entire separate emulsion that it barely does anything with. In a day and age when unique emulsions are rarer than gold. I mean, gold isn't even that rare. They're rarer than calcite. They're rarer than calcite. It's the world's rarest mineral. It takes so much manufacturing capability to produce one color film emulsion, and with a somewhat niche consumer base, it feels unlikely that Kodak is able to make 2 or 3 completely unique 800 ISO daylight balanced color films and only market one of them. So, Darren and I, together with Dimitri from this wonderful film photography resource blog, Analog Cafe, the three of us got to thinking, what if we tested these 3 emulsions side by side under identical conditions to compare results? So we did. I purchased a roll of Lomography Color Negative 800, a Kodak Funsaver disposable, which comes preloaded with an unspecified 800 ISO color film, and of course, a roll of the iconic Portra 800. But wait, Yvonne, remember a few videos ago when you were talking about Aurora 800 and you said that you were going to test that side by side with the other 800 ISO films to see if it actually was Portra or not? What happened to that? Why aren't you testing that one? Well, after I published that video, there were about 6 people who messaged me privately to offer insight as to what Aurora 800 really is. I can't tell you because I don't want to get sued by Kodak and I don't want them to get sued by Kodak, but I can say that after finding out what it is, I decided that I wanted to keep my last roll of it to myself. But with that said, I did have my roll of Aurora 800 loaded into my own camera, the Nikon F801S, during this experiment, and I shot it alongside the other films in this experiment. I just didn't do it as meticulously, and I didn't want to waste all of the rest of the frames. So this isn't included in the incredible scientific part of this experiment, but I do have Aurora 800 results to show you. Now, some film photographers will tell you that the film which comes preloaded in the Kodak Funsaver disposable cameras is more of a washed out, lower color fidelity, low contrast film, whereas Lomography Color Negative is brighter, more vibrant, with punchy tones and high contrast. And of course, Portra 800 delivers exceptionally rendered skin tones and high color fidelity. Is this assessment accurate? Are these films really so different? Well, you gotta watch the video to find out. I will show you the results at the end, but don't skip ahead, because life is a journey. But if you do skip ahead, you can apologize for it by liking and commenting on this video and subscribing to my channel. Thanks. Without further ado, let's talk about the method for this experiment. So to make this experiment as rigorously scientific as possible, we used the exact same camera, lens, and lighting conditions for each image. This was made possible by Darren, who owns a Hasselblad, fancy, and 3 film backs, and also made possible by Dimitri, who rented a 4th film back from Beau Photo. So with 4 film backs, we loaded the Kodak Funsaver, the Lomography Color Negative, Portra 800, and a control roll of Fuji 400, just so that we could compare an emulsion that we know for a fact is different with the 3 test rolls. We loaded each film into a different film back, and you can clip the backs on and off the camera without having to disturb the film at all. So you clip it on, take the picture, clip it off, clip the next one on, take the picture, take it off. Of course, the camera was mounted on a tripod to ensure that each frame was as identical as possible. I put an ask out on my Instagram looking for models, and the lovely Lauren volunteered. Thank you so much, Lauren. She is a fantastic model. I met her through Vancouver Fashion Week and have worked with her on a few different editorials during and since, so I was pretty thrilled to have her on board. I rented a studio for the day, and with feedback from Dimitri and Darren, devised a plan for each image. Because we were shooting 35mm film in a medium format camera, each snap took up a larger portion of the film than a typical 35mm frame. Basically, we were taking these vertical panoramas. And look, they have sprocket holes. Isn't that so cool? I love the sprocket holes look. I need a medium format camera, man. I want to try this. Because of this larger frame area, we didn't get anywhere near 36 exposures on each roll. We estimated that it would be more like 12 to 14 frames after losing a bunch loading them onto the rolls. So we planned out 12 different images, each with different colors, contrasts, and lighting types. The goal was to photograph a range of colors and tones that was as diverse as possible. Some studio shots, some street shots, some golden hour portraits, some neon portraits, a bit of everything. Armed with this list, it was now time to load the film into the backs. And good lord, You burn like 10 frames just loading it into these things. It was really stressful to watch. I had like a little squeezy that I was like, it is hard to watch 10 frames of what you know is very good film just burn away in front of your eyes. When it came time to load the Portra, I couldn't even watch. I had to avert my gaze. Wasting such good film, it's just not right. Oh, and speaking of things that aren't right, disposable cameras are a facade. They are a deception. They are hogwash. I asked ChatGPT for some other options of things that I could say here, and it told me that these are as genuine as a cubic zirconia. ChatGPT, go home, you're drunk. I always thought, and potentially you did too, that a disposable camera had to be damaged in some way to remove the film. And this is what made it disposable. That maybe it was cheaper to load the film in a way that it couldn't be retrieved without damaging the device, so they were cheaper to make and also only one use, right? No, you do not have to break open the camera to remove the film. Not at all. In fact, the camera remains fully intact after you remove the film. And in fact, once the film has been removed, you can reload it. You can reload the camera and shoot with it again. It's not disposable at all. We've just been lied to this whole time. This is the camera that we took the film out of. And observe, it is unblemished, undamaged, remarkably intact. Disposable cameras don't really exist. They're just regular cameras that we've been throwing away after one use. Great. Armed with our fully loaded film backs and our carefully curated shot list, we began our experiment. The first set was outside since there was a nice golden hour glow going on. We burned our first 3 shots here and then headed inside to shoot by the window in the natural light room. I don't actually think these shots in particular are great candidates for comparison because the light was changing pretty rapidly and the sun was going behind clouds and stuff, but the photos are pretty nonetheless. Once we lost the light in the front room, we set up in the back room of the studio where I had assembled the ingredients for a few of my frankly iconic continuous lighting setups. Oh, Yvonne, if only you had a video where you show us how to do these continuous lighting setups. Don't worry, I do, it's right here. Go and watch it after this one. We powered through a few of these different lighting setups, each as different as possible, using colors that were as opposite as possible, and used some multicolored fabrics as well that my friend Melissa of Melissa Martin Photography let us borrow. And involved in these setups, we've got 3 LED panels and 1 high-powered NAN light, if you're curious. After the studio shots, we headed back outside into the freshly darkened streets and made our way to Vancouver's most iconic spot for late night photo shoots, the Jack Chow Insurance Building. Did you know that this is the skinniest building in the world? Pretty cool. It's also completely covered in neon lights and mirrors and windows and things, lots of reflective surfaces and just fun elements to incorporate into a photo. I kind of did forget that the light changes color pretty much constantly, so realistically, these photos are not great candidates for comparison either, but we still got some really pretty shots. And the shots I took on the Aurora 800 in this location, oh my god, mwah, they're beautiful. This is phenomenal, no notes. After collecting the last of our data in this location, we bid adieu to the lovely Lauren and took a few final random shots of other neon lights and windows and things in the area to polish off the rest of the rolls. We actually had a really funny encounter with another group of 3 late night film photographers who stopped to like mutually geek out over Darren's Hasselblad. Honestly, shooting one of those in public is like driving a vintage Corvette. Like, other hobbyists will know. And just like a group of car enthusiasts gathered around to listen to the purr of a V8 engine, we were gathered around to hear the satisfying clunk sound that the Hasselblad made when he took a picture. Once the experiment was concluded, Darren and Dimitri both took a crack at scanning the images. I don't develop or scan my own film, so admittedly, I'm a little bit out of my depth when it comes to explaining the technical specifications of exactly what they did, but do pop over to Dimitri's blog, Analog Cafe, and to Darren's channel, Learn Film Photography, to get the full specs of the various scanners and settings they used. Oh, we also got the lab, Vancouver, this lab, to develop the rolls so that they would all be developed in like the same chemistry at the same time, and we had them scan 2 of the rolls. We didn't have them scan all of them because it's very expensive, but we did want to see how the films would look with as many different scanners as possible, so we have scans from Darren, scans from Dimitri, and a few scans from the lab. And speaking of scans, let's look at the results. As you can see from these comparison slides, the films are slightly different. These are not all the same product. Honestly, we were all kind of surprised. Dimitri gave Darren and I a few unlabeled slides so that we could guess which film was which, and I'm gonna do the same for you. So here's a few slides, and if you want to pause to guess which is which, I would encourage the exercise. Essentially, Lomography Color Negative is actually a bit more vibrant than Portra 800. Like, I actually do like the colors significantly better on the Lomography Color Negative. I kind of thought that talk of like extra vibrancy was just marketing, but apparently not. Funsaver is a little more washed out than the others, and predictably not as lovely as the other more expensive films. And the Portra, I can't say that it is unusually good at rendering the skin tones, but I could see a slight difference between the tones in Portra and those in Funsaver. The negatives look pretty much identical, but with one key distinction. The Portra base is made of a thicker material. It is noticeably more hefty, like you can feel how much heftier it is in your hand, and it is much less prone to curling as a result. So we could speculate that the emulsion is the same for each of these films, but the base material is different. I could buy this explanation, actually. Like, the difference between each film is perceptible, but very slight. So that's one theory. There is a chance that all of these are just different emulsions. I don't know if I believe that, but it is certainly possible looking at these results. I thought that Portra was gonna be my favorite because, come on, icon. But actually I really like the Lomo, and I actually bought a 3-pack of the Lomo, and I'm really glad I did because the color in them is just really nice. I think I would recommend Lomo over Portra, personally. That is the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are feeling inspired to purchase and test out any of the products you've seen featured in today's video, you can do so using my affiliate link down below for Freestyle Photo LA. They have most of the products I discussed. They don't have the Kodak Funsaver camera, but they have everything else. And if you click that link and you buy something through it, then I get a portion of the sales and you get film. This channel gets funded and everyone's happy. So do that. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Another way that you can support this channel is by clicking the Buy Me a Coffee link down below, and that is a one-time $5 donation. All proceeds from that link go towards improving the kind of videos that I'm able to offer on this channel. All of the film that I bought for today's video was bought with proceeds from that link. So thank you guys. You like directly made this possible. Honestly, buying this many rolls of 800 ISO Kodak film, I never would have recovered financially. So that's all for today, folks. Don't forget to pop over to Dimitri and Darren's pages, and also check out Lauren Greaves on Instagram. I'll link all of their stuff in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you next week with a new video. And in the meantime, I want you guys to stay sharp, and don't forget to keep shooting. Bye, guys.